lived and worked in Latin America. You sat around and handled defaults, delinquencies, and a lot of just basically big sovereign problems. You don't believe this necessarily is over. Why?
This is not solved at all, because what they have done, Brian, in the last couple of days is to do to Greece what they did in 2010 and 2012. They've papered over the problem with more debt being added on. In the previous two changes, the IMF was part of it. The change now is 2015. The IMF is telling you that there is too much debt and that needs to be reduced. But it's still the same old story. And a big story today is Wolfgang Schäuble, the German finance minister, saying many people in government, probably including himself, thought that Grexit would be better than the situation in which they have entered into today. But even from a Greek viewpoint, a Grexit would be a lot better because they would have their sovereignty. What they have lost as a result of the most recent one is a loss of sovereignty, because the European group is going to be able to say what companies are privatized, at what price, and sold to whom. And that just is not an acceptable situation in sovereign debt defaults.
And just a quick aside for our viewers and listeners who may view this only as a European problem, when you mention IMF and loans and debt, keep in mind, folks, the United States is the #1 stakeholder in the IMF. So there is direct U.S. money in any IMF loan or bailout package going. That's your money, America, going to Greece.
That's very true.
Now let's get back to the issue at hand. What if the Greek parliament, though, votes through these austerity measures? What if they agree to these cuts? Then isn't it less of a debt problem? Haven't they at least taken a hard step to actually solving the problem, Sri?
Look at it tomorrow. Very likely, as Michelle has been reporting from Athens repeatedly, they are likely to approve the measures tomorrow, because there is going to be the Prime Minister is going to do it not with the help of his party, because the party is split and the leftist factions are against this proposal, but he is going to do it with the help of center-right parties which are going to vote for him. Having done that, it's not done yet because you have to implement. There is an implementation risk. You are leaving it in the hands of Greek officials who very violently opposed all of these measures. And you're
So you think, so if I'm hearing you right, Sri, we're running out of time, they could vote this through. They could say all the right things and still not fix it.
Absolutely. Look at it this way.
You're very cynical.
Look at it. No, not really. I am a realist. When you look at the $50 billion money which is set aside, for instance, if that is not sold, and if you want to sell and the Greeks do not sell it, what are the Europeans going to do? You can't send a navy to attack and take it over. It is a sovereign. So given those circumstances in sovereign debt, there are inherent limitations, and that's what I learned in different sovereign problems, and that's going to be very much present here.
We're going to leave it there. I will remind our viewers, who probably know this because they're a smart group of people, which is that a couple of years ago, the Chinese took a huge stake in a Greek port. The Russians are starting to talk to the Greeks. There's a lot of geopolitical intrigue here as well. Sri Kumar, Sri, a pleasure, buddy.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Stocks, by the way, are at their highs of the day. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is not soaring, but it's up 71 points right now, and that would make it the 4th straight day of gains for the Dow and for the NASDAQ as well. Well, it is hands down the boldest stock call of the month, if not the year. One analyst sees 160% upside to a smaller cap stock. That name and the reason behind the call coming up. And we are keeping a close eye on the energy market as the final oil